What's going on, guys? It is Friday, August 4th, and welcome back to another episode of Pokemon Go. So, in this episode, in my apartment, we're going to be talking about the legendary Pokemon. How long they're around for, what the best counters are against them, the movesets that they have, all that stuff. So without further ado, it's probably going to be a long video, let's get right to it. So, Moltres, Zapdos, and Articuno are on time limits, as far as we know right now. And Lugia could be on a time limit, but that's not been confirmed yet. So, Articuno was around from the time Pokemon Go Fest happened to July 31st. I'm sorry, I'm recording this video kind of late, but anyway, he was around from Go Fest to July 31st, and then when the 31st came up, Articuno flew away, and Moltres comes into place. And Moltres will be around from the 31st to July or August 7th. That would be Tuesday. So until Tuesday, Moltres will be around as a raid boss in the gyms. After Tuesday, Zapdos will be taking Moltres' place as a raid boss until the 14th of August. And then Lugia has been around since GoFest. He does not have a time limit as far as we know right now. Maybe when the Japan Pikachu outbreak in Yokohama, Japan happens, then maybe I heard that they were going to release Ho-Oh into the game, and then that's maybe when they'll take Lugia out and replace him with Ho-Oh. I'm not sure, that's not been confirmed, but yeah. Now, without further ado, let's jump into what movesets they have. We'll start with Articuno. So Articuno has one fast move, and that's Frost Breath. And he has 3 charge moves: Blizzard, Ice Beam, and Icy Wind. Blizzard is obviously going to be the best charge move possible for Articuno at 100% DPS. And Ice Beam will be at 96% DPS. And Icy Wind comes in third at 81% DPS. And now, I should tell you, there are defensive movesets as well, but because you are not allowed to place legendary Pokemon in gyms, we're not going to talk about defending because they'll never be defending. Up next, Moltres. So Moltres' quick move is Fire Spin, and his charge moves are Overheat at 100%, Fire Blast at 93%, and Heat Wave at 86%. Now, if you catch a high IV Moltres, until Ho-Oh comes into play anyway, I would power it up, because right now, before Ho-Oh comes out, Moltres is the best Fire-type attacker in the game right now. Zapdos. Zapdos's quick move is Charge Beam, which I really don't like because Charge Beam is slow as hell. I heard that it was going to be Thundershock. It was it was in the game's code, but that has been removed, and no, it is going to be Charge Beam. His charge moves are Zap Cannon, Thunderbolt, and Thunder. Zap Cannon is at 96%, or 100% now. It was at 96% because there was a charge move that was also removed from Zapdos's file. That would be Discharge, which I'm kind of disappointed they removed Thundershock and Discharge, which would have been the best moveset. But no, the best moveset is going to be Charge Beam and Zap Cannon, which is going to be incredibly slow. So that's disappointing. Followed by Charge Beam and Thunderbolt, and Charge Beam and Thunder. 96% DPS, 95% DPS, and 86% DPS. That is, if you count the Thundershock and Discharge anyway. So, up next, Lugia. Lugia has a lot more moves than just one quick move. So I'll just read you what his moves are. His best move set that you can have is Extra Sensory and Future Sight. But in the second best move set, which both of them are registered at 100%, but you could do either one. The second move set of the best is Extra Sensory and Future Sight, followed by Dragon Tail and Future Sight in third at 97% DPS, Dragon Tail and Sky Attack at 95% DPS, Extra Sensory Hydro Pump at 92%, and finally Dragon Tail and Hydro Pump at 90%. So, that's the movesets for Lugia. I'm not surprised they have Hydro Pump in there, even though he's not a water type, because, as we know from watching the animated series, Lugia has water DNA in him. You know, he lives in the sea. So, I'm going to read you Mewtwo's moves. Not sure when he'll be released, but I'll read them to you anyway. So, Mewtwo's best moveset will be Confusion and Shadow Ball, and Confusion Hyper Beam. They're both at 100%. Followed by Confusion and Psychic at third at 98%. Also at 98% is Confusion and Focus Blast. So Confusion is absolutely the quick move that you want to have for Mewtwo. And then his other quick move is Psycho Cut, which I just told you, his charge moves are Shadow Ball, Hyper Beam, Psychic, and Focus Blast. So really you want to pay attention to those four combined with Confusion, because those are the top four. So there's really no point in me telling you the bottom four, because this is going to be Psycho Cut probably in the same order. So that would be Mewtwo's moves. I'm not going to read Mew and Ho-Oh because I'm not sure when those two are going to be released, and I found Ho-Oh's moveset to be really weird, which it might get changed, so I won't read you those. But if you go on the website at pokemon.gameinfo.io, then you can look up the movesets of any Pokemon. So now, let's talk about the best Pokemon to counter the legendary Pokemon in raid battles. Starting with Articuno, who's not around anymore. So, the Pokemon to use against Articuno were Rock types, Electric types, Fire, and Steel, as he is a Ice and Flying type. And the best Pokemon to use, or were the best to use, were Amistar with Rock Throw and Rock Slide. Now, unfortunately, both of those moves from Amistar are legacy, so if you don't have them, then kind of a bummer, but don't waste your TMs trying to teach them to them because they are unavailable now. Another great counter is Flareon with Fire Spin and Overheat. Arcanine with Fire Fang and Fire Blast. My Arcanine, however, is Fire Fang and Flamethrower, which Flamethrower is Legacy, by the way. And also, the third fire type to use is, which is my strongest fire type right now, it just happens to be, is Typhlosion with Ember and Overheat, and it does a good job. Also a good one to use is a Pokemon that will be the best counter for all 3 legendary birds, and that Pokemon is Golem with Rock Throw and Stone Edge. It's not necessarily the best used against Articuno, but it'll get the job done. Also a good Pokemon to use is Tyranitar with Bite and Stone Edge, as its DPS is very high. And lower down the list, Charizard with Fire Spin and Overheat, but be careful, that would not be my number 1 choice because Charizard is also a flying type, which will take massive damage against Articuno's ice moves. So it would not be my first choice. And also you can use Scizor with Bullet Punch and Iron Head, although that would be my last possible choice because he is extremely weak. Now, moving on to Moltres. The best Pokemon to use against Moltres is Golem with Rock Throw and Stone Edge. Other good counters are, again, Tyranitar with Bite and Stone Edge, Vaporeon with Water Gun and Hydro Pump, obviously. And if you want to go for some DPS, you can with really high CP, you can go Gyarados with Dragon Tail and Hydro Pump. Also, our Amistar comes back into play with his extinct movesets, Rock Throw and Rock Slide. And also, further down the list is Feraligatr, because he doesn't get extremely big, with Water Gun and Hydro Pump. And also, again, now I should also mention that if you want to use electric types against the legendary birds, Jolteon is a good choice with pretty much any of his movesets. Pretty much all his movesets are good. My highest Jolteon has Volt Switch and Discharge. So basically, 1 Volt Switch equals almost a full charge Discharge. So it could be good, but it's very slow. And Volt Switch anyway. But I'm just telling you, Jolteon is a good counter for all 3, and maybe Ampharos if you have it. Now, Zapdos. Zapdos is a bit tricky to counter because he's an electric and flying, so don't waste time using electric types because it won't work. The best one, again, Golem with Rock Throw and Stone Edge. So if you haven't figured out his value right now, power it up. Because I'm telling you, it will do massive damage to pretty much all of the legendary birds. Also a good one to use against Zapdos is, again, Tyranitar with Bite and Stone Edge. Why? If you haven't figured out that value yet, is because he gets very high. He's the strongest Pokemon in the game that is non-legendary. So if you have a Tyranitar with Bite and Stone Edge, or Bite Crunch, which I'll get to with Lugia, then power it up. My Tyranitar is 96% IVs with Bite and Crunch. And I have another 96%. I got 2 of them. I'm lucky to have 2. But my other one is a Defender right now, under 3,000. So, I don't know. I might power that up eventually. But anyway, off topic. if you want to go for some DPS, apparently against Zapdos, you can use Dragonite with Dragon Breath and Outrage? Dragon Tail Outrage. I guess if you want to go for some DPS, I don't know, it just says that here, but whatever. Now, Rhydon gets extremely big, over 3,000, about 32 or whatever is his max CP. And because he uses ground type moves, it will deal massive damage to Zapdos because he's electric type. And it will also resist Zapdos' electric type moves. Rhydon with Mudslap and Stone Edge. I have a Rhydon that is just a little over 3,000, 84%, so I didn't power it up all the way. It has Mudslap, Stone Edge. So it's a really good counter. And I actually use it against all 3 legendary birds. Not the best, but for all 3 birds. But you know what? Mudslap is a strong quick move, and Stone Edge will work against all 3 legendary birds. And now here's where it gets a little bit odd. You can use Ice and Rock, obviously, against Zapdos, as well as Rock types will deal. And now we'll jump back just 1 second to Moltres. I forgot to mention the best types to use against Moltres are double weakness to Rock, Water, and Electric. Now back to Zapdos. Ice and Rock. Alright, so I mentioned Golem, Tyranitar, and Rhydon. And then Dragonite if you want to go for some DPS. Ice types, if you have an Articuno that you've already powered up, by all means use it against Zapdos with Frost Breath Blizzard or Frost Breath Ice Beam. By all means. But here's something really funny that I see on the chart here that I'm using. The ice types it says to use are Jinx with Frost Breath and Avalanche, and Piloswine or Piloswine with Ice Shard and Avalanche. Sure, but you know what? Leave those as a last resort, please, because they do not get very big, just a little over 2,000. So if you all have all your strong Pokemon have fainted and you're desperate to deal damage to get the damage control bonus for getting more Premier Balls, by all means use Piloswine, I would rather, because he is also ground type, which will resist Zapdos' electric type moves. I'm sure he'll be more valuable when he evolves into Mamoswine, trust me. But that doesn't happen until Gen 4, so yeah, you're going to have to wait a little bit. So now, those are the 3 Kanto birds, the counters for Kanto birds. Now let's go to Lugia. Now, the best possible Pokemon to use against Lugia is Tyranitar with Bite and Crunch, as you probably have already figured out, followed by Bite and Stone Edge. Lugia is weaknesses to Dark, Rock, obviously, Ice, Ghost, and Electric. So a lot of weaknesses there. And which do you think is the next Pokemon to use? Well, let me see. As I've been saying over and over, Golem with Rock Throw and Stone Edge. Powered up. I do have a Golem with Rock Throw and Stone Edge is 78% IVs. So it's not over 80, obviously. It's not a wonder, as I'm on Team Mystic. But I powered it up to 2,500 only because I wanted a good Golem. Like, I was desperate for a good Golem to use, so I just did my best and highest CP one that I had. I have a 91% Golem, but it's like 1,600. I'm not wasting all the Stardust to power it up because I don't have the Stardust to invest. Okay, so the next one down the list to counter Lugia is Jolteon with Thundershock Thunderbolt. Sure, use that. Followed by Magneton with Thundershock and Discharge. Sure, by all means. If you want to use Gengar, which is a ghost type that will deal good damage to Lugia, you better be ready to lose him fairly quickly because he has very low defense. So if you're good at dodging, you're a master at dodging, by all means use Gengar for the last Pokemon, but just remember he will die easily. And then for Ice type, again, you can use Articuno if you've powered one up, by all means, with the movesets that I already mentioned. You know, Frost Breath, Blizzard, Ice Beam, etc. If you're really dumb, I'm sorry, but I would not use Jinx. I don't know why it recommends that on this chart that I'm reading here, but you know what? You know what? I would not use Jinx. Even if it has Frost Breath, Avalanche, I would use Articuno. Now, for Ho-Oh, which is not released yet, his weakness is to, same as Moltres, double weakness to rock, and then it's also weak to electric and water. So, the usual suspects for the top two are Golem with Rock Throw, Stone Edge, and Tyranitar with Bite and Stone Edge. With Ho-Oh being a fire type, obviously, the counters for Ho-Oh are basically the same as Moltres, okay? So, yeah, I don't know why I'm wasting my hot air, but okay. Vaporeon with Water Gun, Hydro Pump. Gyarados, if you want some DPS with a water type charge move. Dragon Tail, Hydro Pump. Amistar, it comes in with his extinct moves once again with Rock Throw and Rock Slide. And you can also use Jolteon with Thunder Shock and Thunderbolt. Yeah. Now, I'm not going to read, there's Mew and Mewtwo. I'm not going to read Mew because Mew probably will not be out for a long time. Mewtwo will probably be the first to release. But I'll read you Mewtwo's. Mewtwo is a psychic type only, so his weakness is Bug. Don't use that against Lugia because he's also a flying type. But, excuse me. Tyranitar with Bite and Crunch and Tyranitar with Bite and Stone Edge is the best counter for Mewtwo. You could also use Gyarados with Bite and Crunch. I do have one, but it's not. I guess if you have one, sure, use it. If it's 2500 CP and over, I would use it. You can also use something I would not use because it's not very big. Houndoom with Snarl and Foul Play. Okay, sure. And then some Pokemon that basically the best type, but not the best choice for defense because they will die quickly. Scizor with Fury Cut and X Scissor, and Pinsir with Bug Bite and X Scissor are good to use. And Gengar with Shadow Claw and Shadow Ball. That's the moves I forgot to mention. That's the best to use when we were with Lugia. So, there you go. I hope that information was helpful. That chart was pretty straightforward. So that is my video on the legendaries as far as when they are around, what their movesets are, and what counters you can use against them. Thank you everybody for watching. I hope this information was helpful. I needed to get this video out probably like a week ago, but I've been just busy. Like when I was grinding for the event after GoFest, I got held up by videos. But anyway, I hope this information was helpful. If you thought that these calculations and recommendations were top-notch, leave a comment section in the comment section below. Make sure to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.